Hi and welcome to Travel Camp Explore. My name is Dave and this video is about our recent cruise on Holland America. This is our first cruise on Holland America in about 5 years, the last one being in Alaska. We've actually been on this ship, the Niew Amsterdam, about 7 years ago. So let's get started with Category 1, the ship. The Holland America ships in this class are around 90,000 gross tons, which makes them a medium-sized ship. They're about a quarter of the size of the Royal Caribbean Oasis class ships, which are currently the largest class of ships in the world. They are set up for more traditional cruising, so the focus is on dining, travel experiences, theatre shows, and the ship does not have water slides, kids splash zones, dry slides or fairground rides. This particular ship is about 12 years old. It had a minor refit in 2017 and the ship is in really great condition. The only time I ever saw any rust on this ship was from the tenders in Half Moon Cay when I looked straight up. There were a couple of spots in hard to get to places, but the rest of the ship was in great condition. There was no rust around common areas like the anchor. We'd been on this ship before in 2015, which was prior to the refit. Not a lot has changed as far as the layout is concerned. The main difference I noticed was the nightclub had gone and they had extended the casino into that area along with the gallery bar. There are not really any negatives for the ship, you just need to be aware that this is a more traditional cruising experience and you're not going to get ice shows, dry slides, water parks and that kind of thing. So let's move on to Category 2, the app. The app is pretty typical in terms of features that it offers. You can download your boarding pass, and once you're on the ship, the calendar of events is available and you can select events and add them to your personal itinerary. You will get reminders shortly before the events you have added, and all that worked pretty well on the ship. I will say though that on the lead up to the cruise, the app was very flaky. You could look at the events calendar, but it would disappear and change, and if you tried to add anything to your itinerary, it looked like it may have worked, but it was not there when you checked. So I would recommend just waiting until the day you sail when all of the events are being finalized, and then start adding events to your own itinerary. Other than that, it worked fine most of the time. So let's move on to Category 3, the Internet. The Wi-Fi on the ship seemed strong from a signal perspective, however the internet itself was pretty terrible. This is certainly not a ship that you could work from. I even tried to upgrade the internet package on my phone for the last couple of days to see if it was any better. It really wasn't. You could get to certain sites like Facebook, Twitter and Google if you were patient, but if you searched on Google you would get results after a while, but none of the links would ever load. The only thing that reliably worked was messaging, so if you need to keep in contact with someone, you can, but that's about it. So Category 4 is food. There are several included options on board for food. These would include the dive-in burger place on the pool deck, the pizza place on the rear pool deck, you have the main dining room, Lido buffet and of course room service. There are also a few specialty restaurants, Pinnacle Grill, Canaletto's Italian, and Tamarind, which is an Asian-inspired restaurant. Let's talk about some of these in more detail. We only ate in the main dining room for dinner once, which is unusual for us. We had selected anytime dining, and when we boarded the ship, the earlier seatings were very busy. Next time I go on Holland, I will select early dining, as I don't want to eat as late as 8 o'clock. The meal we had was very good and the service was excellent. Honestly, I wish we'd eaten in there more, but eating at 8 means you miss a lot of the activities we enjoy, so we did not want to do that. We also ate lunch one day in the main dining room. Again, food and service were excellent, no complaints. We also had afternoon tea on one occasion in there, really just because I wanted to see what the scones were like. Again, no complaints, food was good, service was great. We ate in the buffet a lot more than we normally would do on a cruise. The buffet was disappointing not because of the quality of the food, which was great, but because of the number of choices and the apparent lack of quantity of those choices. I don't know what caused this. I do not remember prior Holland America cruises being like this, but here are a couple of examples. One of the highlights for me is breakfast buffet. Sausage, bacon, eggs, tomato, etc. The problem we had is you go to the buffet at 8:30 or 9, so still plenty of time before they closed, and they would be out of things. No bacon. Yes, no bacon to be found anywhere on more than one occasion. One day my wife asked about it and they had it hidden underneath the buffet in a heated drawer. So when you walked up to the buffet, everything looked empty and you kept walking. I have no idea why they were doing this. The Diving Burger Bar was the first thing we ate on board the ship. It's located in the corner of the main pool deck, and once you place your order you get a buzzer to let you know when it's ready for pickup. It did not take too long, and I have to say it was better than I remembered. The burgers were moist, the toppings were all fresh, the bun was great, and the cheese fries were very tasty. We only ate there once during the cruise, but it was very good, and I was actually planning to eat there again, but somehow did not get around to it. The last of the included restaurants we tried was a New York pizza place. Similarly to the diving bar, this was a lot better than I remembered. I don't know if it has changed or if it's just my memory, but I thought the pizza was very good. I had the Bronx pizza on 3 separate occasions and it was always excellent. Again, they gave you a buzzer when you placed the order and you went back to pick it up. I ate pizza in the buffet one night and the server actually saw my buzzer go off and went to get the pizza for me. I wasn't expecting that at all, but it was a nice touch. I would definitely recommend the pizza for lunch or dinner. We did have room service a couple of times, once for an early breakfast and a couple of times we ordered a club sandwich to share later at night. Again, no complaints, service took about 30 minutes and the food was always good. The last place we tried, and which we always try on Holland America, was the Pinnacle Grill. This is Holland America's steakhouse restaurant. The food here is always excellent. The steak is fantastic, but they need to come up with some alternative appetizers. Not really a fan of the selection offered in that part of the menu, and I usually end up with an iceberg wedge salad, which is not very exciting. I would definitely recommend the restaurant though. Even at full price it's not bad value, and if you watch the sales you can often get it discounted. We have eaten at Canaletto's and Tamarind on prior Holland America cruises, and while I would say the food is pretty good, it's certainly not as good as the Pinnacle Grill. So this was the second cruise that we have been on where we chose an inside cabin. The last inside cabin was on Harmony of the Seas. The pros would be the cabin had everything you needed. Storage was great for a 7-day cruise with 3 hanging closets and another closet with a safe and shelves inside. There was a small desk/makeup area with a chair and a hairdryer. This was also where the majority of the power outlets were, although surprisingly there were USB ports on each side of the bed, which was a nice touch. The bathroom was fine too. It was a corner shower, but there was plenty of storage inside the bathroom and a large sink. There was also a motion sensing light at the bottom of the closet doors. This was really useful at night. I would say the main drawback of this cabin was there was no separate seating area or couch. You only had the choice of sitting at the desk or sitting on the bed. This was definitely a small space overall, but it had what you needed, and on warm weather cruises we spend so little time in the cabin, we really don't care so much. It's typical for us to leave at 10 AM and not come back to the cabin other than to get changed until we are ready for bed, so we don't use the balcony much at all. On a cold weather cruiser we definitely appreciate the ease of stepping out on your balcony in Alaska for a quick look at the scenery without having to go find an open deck somewhere. Category 6, Shows and Entertainment. The main theatre shows on the sailing we were on were by a dance company called Step 1. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of cruise ship shows, Greece being the exception, but I was not impressed with Step 1. The lighting and the effects were impressive for sure, but I am not into interpretive dance, so we only went to one of their shows. As for other entertainment options, Holland America has their music walk concept, which consists of Lincoln Center Stage, Billboard on Board, and the B.B. King's Blues Club. Lincoln Center Stage is where classical music performances take place. We did watch one session and they were very talented. The next venue is Billboard on Board. This is where they have the dueling pianists, and there are also several trivias held there. The pianists were very good, very entertaining. The trivias held there were usually fun, with the highlight being the music trivia, with everyone singing much to the host's amusement. A special mention to Thomas, who hosted several trivias around the ship. He was great and really got a kick out of the crowd. The last and best venue on the music walk is the BB King's Blues Club. I have always enjoyed this venue. The musicians are extremely talented, the vocalists are great, and they put on a great show 2 or 3 times most nights. I would highly recommend. They also held the Orange Party here with the band, and it was packed with people dancing everywhere. This class of ship does not have the rock club on board, but you probably won't miss it. We spent a lot of our time in the evenings either in Billboard on board or BB King's and had a blast. One last thing in this area, one of the complaints we had on our Alaska cruise was there was not enough going on during the days at sea. The ship was very quiet. It was not the case on this cruise. There was a much fuller itinerary, and I would definitely consider that an improvement. Category 7, Excursions. We had booked 2 excursions before the cruise. The first was a snorkeling excursion in Curacao, which was unfortunately cancelled by the tour company. They did inform us of the cancellation when we first boarded the cruise, but we did not book a replacement. We just did a self-tour of the town near the port. It was an interesting place. There is a huge shipping channel that comes right into the centre of town, and there's a floating bridge that swings open to let the ships in. Definitely an interesting structure. They had a ferry that was free to cross the channel when the bridge was open, which we used in both directions because the bridge was open both times we needed to cross. The rest of the town was pretty typical of a town in the Caribbean: shops, restaurants and bars. It was a pretty easy walk through an old fort and down the side of the shipping channel. If we ever visit Curacao again, I would probably do a tour away from the port area to see more of what the island was like, but I would be open to visiting again. The other excursion we had booked was a taste of Aruba. This was a 4-hour excursion from the cruise port that went to the opposite side of the island away from the tourist centres. The bus was nice and air conditioned, comfortable, and the tour guide was very knowledgeable. The tour took us to several viewpoints on the island. It included 2 separate caves, one that was full of bats, also took us to a small cove that was very picturesque. I would definitely recommend this tour. I thought there was a lot we did not see on Aruba, so I would be happy to go back again. The last port we called at was a private island, Half Moon Cay, which is in the Bahamas. This is really just a beach day for us, and it's a beautiful beach. Fine sand, no rocks, no seaweed, a few fish swimming around you, and very clear water. We just used some of the free lounges there and spent a couple of hours on the beach. We did try a little bit of snorkeling with the new full face masks we bought for the cruise. It was fun and the weather was great. Water was a little cool when you first went in, but you got used to it pretty quickly. You'll see a few clips where I tried to catch the fish swimming by. We did not eat at the island buffet this time just because there was a very long line when we walked over there, so we went back to the ship a little earlier and just ate at the buffet. I wanted to spend a minute talking about the Holland America all-in deal because I think it can be a great deal. Our cruise was kind of a spontaneous cruise, and so we were looking to keep within a budget. The cruise base price was $4.49, so for 2 people with port taxes, fees and gratuities, it was going to be around $1,300. The all-in deal for us was an extra $400 per person, so it brought the cruise to about $2,100. However, in our case, the deal included $100 per person's shore excursion credit, Wi-Fi, which would have cost close to $100 each, a specialty dining at $65 each, and then the signature beverage package. So the drink package effectively costs less than $150 each for a 7-day cruise. This is well worth it, even though we don't drink as much as some people might. The signature drink package does have a 15 drink a day limit, which includes soft drinks and coffees, but that was never a problem for us. We are often on the fence when it comes to the drink package, but with this deal I would always get it. We have a couple of other cruises booked in the next 12 months. On one we do have a drink package, on the other we have not decided. At $60 a day and above in some cases, it's not really a money saver for us. The benefit is the peace of mind of knowing you are not going to have a big bill at the end of the cruise, and you can try things you may not like without it being a concern. Still, at some point you have to ask, is it worth the cost? So now it's time for the summary. Overall, this was an excellent cruise and the cost was reasonable, especially for a cruise line which is considered to be a step above some of the others. Service was excellent. Bar staff and wait staff worked hard to keep you happy. The food was excellent once you got past the issues in the buffet. Entertainment and itinerary were both great too. Even though I did not like all the entertainment on board, there was enough of it to keep us busy, happy and entertained. The ship was in great condition and very clean. This was our 4th cruise on Holland America, and while we don't have another one booked yet, I am sure we will be cruising with them again in the future.